This roster is pretty big. As you can see, it's about 700, if I read that right, characters here from both Marvel and Capcom. You have a lot of deep cuts, such as... Who is this here? Rec Rap. Everyone loves Rec Rap from the modern Spider-Man comics. Those are so good. You also have... Oh, who could forget? Saturn Dyer. That's my favorite right there. But no, if we're going to start this off, obviously, we gotta have Spider-Man. It would be a cardinal sin to not have Spider-Man on a Marvel vs. Capcom game. So, you know, he's the poster boy. He's in no matter what. Next up, I'm a big fan of Legacy myself, so I want to fill in with the original Avengers. So we have most of the original Avengers already. We're just missing Ant-Man and the Wasp, and already I'm gonna do the YouTuber cliche of breaking my own rules, because I think that if they put Ant-Man and the Wasp together, instead of just relegating them to just being a super again, like they were in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, I think they could be doing something very unique there, based off of their dynamic of, you know, being like partners, like husband and wife. Like, say what you want about their relationship in the comics, but, you know, outside of their weird relationship in the comics, they're portrayed, especially now in the Ultimates, or the new Ultimate Universe, I should say, as, you know, being more loving. Thankfully, right? I'm looking back at Injustice 2 with how they handled the Atom for this. So I'm thinking maybe like a tag team mechanic, like sometimes you use Ant-Man for some moves, sometimes a Wasp comes in for some. Obviously, like shrinking down, you can do a lot of cool stuff with Giant Man. So I'm gonna put both Ant-Man and the Wasp on my list, but they count as one character for now. So that way we have the poster boy, and we have the 5 original Avengers and Captain America, who is, you know, the leader, synonymous with the Avengers themselves. So let's see, what else do we need on the Marvel side? It might be too early to do villains. Let's keep going with heroes, because already we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters, and I gave myself a 20 character limit. 5 of those have to be villains. I think it's time we start filling in a bit on the X-Men side over here. So I'm gonna go with Wolverine. Obviously, he is the X-Man, as they say, but the other X-Man, besides X-Man himself, is Cyclops. You gotta have the leader of the X-Men in there. I think he could do a lot of cool stuff. He could be a really good keep-away character. We saw in X-Men 97 how he used his lasers to kind of move around and give himself momentum, so maybe that's something that they could implement as well. Wolverine is just Wolverine, like he has to be there no matter what, right? Now, a really popular character, especially in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, is Storm. You know, I feel like she's a good female rep, incredibly unique as well. Like, I feel like Storm definitely has to be in here. So, let's go down in our list of 700 characters and let's pull her out. Let's see, where is she at? Boom, okay, we got Storm. So let's see, 1, 2, 9 characters already. Oh man. Let's go, let's go Jigsaw, not just kidding. Oh man, this is tougher than I thought already, because I'm trying to think in my head, like, who am I gonna cut? You know? Because I feel like not every character that I put up there is gonna make it towards the end, and you'll see why near the end. Oh god, we see that this is a problem already. Like, we can't deny the X-Men their spot in this roster, just because I'm not a fan of them. Because I know all of this started because of them, obviously. So if I was to put one more, definitely not Cable. I feel like we could leave Cable out of this game, as cool as he is with his like super that goes across the entire screen. I'm gonna go with Nightcrawler. He's one of my favorites. He hasn't been in one of these games before. I feel like he could do really cool stuff with his whole teleporting ability. He has his swords. He just looks badass. I've always been a big Nightcrawler fan. I wish he was in the movies a lot more. So I'm gonna put Nightcrawler in there. So moving on to other Marvel characters, obviously you gotta have Doctor Strange. Can't leave him out. And someone who I feel like deserves to be in this game since the very start, honestly, is Mr. Fantastic. There's so much interesting moveset potential with Mr. Fantastic alone. He could kind of be the Dhalsim of the game. And I'm kind of amazed that no main Fantastic Four member has been in this before. And you know, that's understandable. You know, you can't really have the Thing because you have the Hulk. Invisible Woman can't really do much, and I feel like, you know, fighting against an invisible character wouldn't be the best for either side, using them and fighting against them. Johnny Storm, you know, we have Captain Marvel. And Reed Richards, you know, I feel like nowadays they would probably go with Kamala Khan, sadly. And we'll get to Kamala Khan eventually, trust me, because I have an idea for her in my head already. But You know, thinking about how Marvel versus Capcom is usually like a tag team or, you know, a team up type of game, especially with assists and the character interaction that they have. I know growing up I really enjoyed the ones in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I feel like, and you could kind of tell where I'm going with this. Having Mr. Fantastic in here and another character that I'll get to right after him is definitely the way to go. So already we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh my god, and I need to still fill in my villains. Okay, we can knock out villains real quick. Obviously, gotta have Dr. Doom. Not you. There we go, that's what I wanted. Dr. Doom. Side by side with Fantastic, you know, the interaction would be amazing. We're gonna put him in there. Love seeing him in Marvel vs. Capcom 3. Every game needs to pander to Spider-Man in one way or another, and I am the biggest Venom fan in the world, but I feel like, God, this is really hard for me to say. I feel like you could do a lot more cooler things with his other roster of villains. And the reason I say that is because as awesome as Venom is, he's just like a bulkier character. And granted, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 does really cool stuff with him, in the sense that, you know, he kind of goes across the screen, he has all his transformations. A lot of the time, Venom, rightfully so, obviously, feels like just bulkier Spider-Man. I know Marvel Rivals definitely emphasizes that as well. Like, yeah, the gameplay looks cool, and I'm definitely gonna play Venom, but he's just Spider-Man for the most part. So I'm gonna do the crazy thing here. He was teased in Infinite. I'm rather gonna put Green Goblin as our Spider-Man villain for this game. I think air combos with him would go crazy. He could have a mechanic where he gets on and off the glider. He has his pumpkin bombs, his little magic finger lasers. Stuff like that would be really cool to see. He could also be kind of like a puppet character in a way, where he kind of sends out the glider and then like brings it back, or I don't know, something like that. But I think that'd be super cool to see. We need an X-Men villain. We already know where this is gonna go. Obviously, gotta have Magneto in there. Let's get Magnus in there. And then gotta have the major big bad himself. We gotta have Thanos. It was cool to see him come back in Infinite. I wonder if, or when I should say, they do Marvel vs. Capcom 4, how they're gonna handle whatever mechanic it's gonna have now. They already did Infinity Stones, so they could always do them again. You know, it's like it's so ingrained in pop culture by itself. Like, oh yeah, everyone knows the Infinity Stones, and it was a cool mechanic. It's already been in multiple games, so if they bring it back, they bring it back. Thanos himself, though, definitely earns a spot in my roster. Okay, we already have an X-Men villain, we have a Spider-Man villain, we have Fantastic Four villain, we have Avengers villain. We need one more villain, and you know what? I'm stuck between Kang and Ultron. And the reason I say that is that obviously in a different timeline, if things worked out for Marvel, we would have Kang in Marvel vs. Capcom 4, right? But given just how lackluster he comes off in the movies, granted he has a long history in the comics, I feel like people are more excited for Ultron, and so am I. Like, this is definitely like this is what I wanted the game pick, you know? Boom, there we go. So we have our 5 villains. We have our X-Men, we have our Avengers, and then we just have random heroes like Doctor Strange. We need more random heroes. We have 3 spots left. Oof, this is a tough one. I feel like we need to represent the mystical, the spooky side of Marvel, if you will. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put in my boy Ghost Rider. This right here is a me pick through and through. I love Ghost Rider as much as I love Venom and Deadpool and Spider-Man. Like, they're my favorites. I have a plan for Deadpool though, so just keep that in mind. But Ghost Rider himself, love him to death. It's so crazy too that Marvel themselves don't know what to do with Ghost Rider. Like, it is killing me that he is not in the MCU yet, especially considering he was supposed to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. I don't know if you guys have seen that concept art. If I'm cool enough to remember, I'll have it up on the screen right now. But please, Marvel, it can't be that hard. But then again, they're struggling with Blade, and Blade is just a movie about a guy killing vampires, so who knows? We need more. Oh man, we need another street character. Oh, that's a tough one. Because I love both Daredevil and Moon Knight. But I feel like Daredevil himself is synonymous with, you know, the street level characters of Marvel. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him there. You could argue Spider-Man too, but Spider-Man is like a branch between like the superheroes and the more street level stuff. But oh geez, for a final spot. See, I want to put Hawkeye. I want to put Wanda. I want to put Black Widow, but I realized that we don't have a lot of space reps, and if we're gonna have one, it has to be from Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, and I feel in that sense, the only logical answer is Rocket and Groot. I'm glad that they have them together here. I wish they had that with Ant-Man and the Wasp. But we're gonna go ahead and put them in here. You know, when it comes to Gamora, I know she's an infinite, but she's just a sword user, and I already have Nightcrawler for that. Star-Lord, he's a gun user. He would be more of a ranged character, and while we don't have a gun user here, we already have Iron Man, we have Cyclops, you know, they play keep away with their playstyles mostly. Drax, again, he's just a bulky guy. We have the Hulk, we're okay with that. Who else is on the team? Mantis? I'm not even gonna talk about Mantis, get that out of here. But already we have our 20 characters for the Marvel side. So I feel like this is a pretty good representation of Marvel for me. Like, we hit every note, basically. The street level, the cosmic, the spooky, the popular, like the main teams. I'm pretty happy with this turnout here. We have the villains as well. I'm pretty happy with the villains, because usually the games skimp out on the villains, and I feel like that's something that we definitely need more of, especially in games like Smash as well. So moving on to the Capcom side. I love Mega Man. Mega Man is my favorite game series ever besides Pokemon. I grew up on it. I need my boy in there. Now the tricky thing is, do we put Mega Man or do we put X in? And that's where it gets tough. I've seen a lot of people who do the same trend. They put X. And don't get me wrong, X is really cool, and with X you get 0. But this is my list. I get to shake those tides a little bit. So I'm gonna go with original Mega Man. And another curveball for myself, because, you know, Mega Man is so big of a franchise, you need to have at least 2 characters. Instead of Proto Man, I'm gonna go with Bass. I'm gonna put Bass and Mega Man there, because again, I'm thinking, you know, like team-ups, I'm thinking interactions. I feel like you could have a lot of cool stuff with these two. And they play similarly enough, but different at the same time. Sure, with Zero you have the sword. You know, Bass, he shoots faster, he could transform with his dog. Well, there's a lot you can do with Bass, needless to say. Obviously you gotta have Arthur, gotta represent the older Capcom games. And then moving on to the more popular ones. Obviously you gotta have Morrigan. Where's she at? I'm a big time Succubus fan. I will simp any day of the week for this woman. And we need a few more Darkstalker characters as well. I'm gonna go ahead and place... Where's Jeddah? We need villains. Let me get Jeddah in here. Jeddah was so cool in Infinite, and it's a shame that he is stuck in a game like Infinite, I gotta say. So we're gonna put Jeddah there. And if I had to put one more, I'm gonna go with a fan favorite. I'm gonna go with BB Hood. And that's our Darkstalkers roster right there. Let's see, if I had to move on to Street Fighter, because again, Street Fighter and X-Men are what started this, so we can't disrespect them either. Gotta have our boy Ryu. Where's he at? And he has to come with Chun-Li, no matter what. As much as I want to say Ryu comes with Ken, and yeah, you know, Capcom does their best to differentiate the two nowadays, it's not enough. We need someone different enough, and that is going to be Chun-Li. She is the poster girl for these games. And as much as I want to put Cammy, don't get me wrong, I love Cammy. In Street Fighter 6, I play Cammy. Call me a scrub, whatever you want for that. I gotta go with Chun-Li. I understand the importance of this character, the popularity of this character, so Chun-Li definitely gets a spot there. Now, if I had to put one more, or you know what, no, we'll go 2 for Street Fighter. As a villain, ooh. As a villain, I feel like we could knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. Here we could represent Street Fighter 6 and a villain at the same time. As much as I want to put M. Bison in, I'm gonna go with JP. I like his constructs, his little shadow monsters. I feel like that could be really unique in this game. He could be a mix of, you know, like close-up attacker with his cane, keep away with his clones, you know, he has the range grabs, a lot of cool stuff like that. So JP, I'll put you in my roster. And then if I had to put a popular character that people are gonna like, you know, again, I'd rather put Cammy in, but if this game is gonna thrive, we need to have Jury. Like, if we put Jury in this game, sales go up like 2,000% already. I fully understand that. Okay, so that's our Street Fighter characters right there, and I know that's pretty egregious. I know a lot of people are probably going like, oh, what about so-and-so and Dudley and Dan, and you know, maybe we'll get to them, okay? We're not fully done with this yet. We already have 10 characters for Capcom as it is, so we only have 10 more that we can put. I held out 5 fingers, I meant 10, there we go. So if we're gonna fill this out, we're gonna slide into Materasu. It's her time to shine. Again, I feel like Capcom is doing a good job of going back to classic games, so I feel like they would like represent her there. Gotta have Phoenix Wright as well. I thought it was so cool that he was in 3. I've never played Ace Attorney myself, but I can understand how important it is to represent yourself, your company, your games as much. He's a fan favorite character as well. He gets a pass for me alone, just because of how unique his moveset was. So Phoenix Wright definitely comes back in my game. I'm opening up the little club door for that man. See, and the crazy thing is that we don't even have any Resident Evil characters yet. So let's go ahead and do some of that. If I'm gonna have a Resident Evil character as a main character, I feel like Jill was already in 3. So we could switch it up, and we're gonna put Leon. Leon is hot right now. Hot always, mind you. He is a fan favorite again. He's the man! What can I say? We gotta put Leon in there. Boom. I feel, of course, I gotta have the zombies in Resident Evil. And, oh man, this is a tough one. Which one would I put in? Would I put in Tyrant? I feel like we need a big character. Oh no, I have a better idea. Instead of them, originally I wanted to save them for DLC. But again, we're trying to make this game like the best one ever, right? To please everyone. We cannot ignore Lady Dimitrescu. And she is right here. There we go. You'd think I'd be able to spot her easier. Boom. So we have 2 Resident Evil characters already. And I feel like that's a pretty good choice right there. For more Capcom stuff though, gotta have Hagar. Represent his games. Boom. Can't forget that. I feel like we need a little freak. We need like a little weird character. I'm gonna put Firebrand in. I like playing him in 3. He's unique enough. We're gonna put him in as well. Boom, that's Firebrand. Oh, we're coming close. You have 5 more spots left. We need to get like more classic with this. You know, to me it doesn't get more classic than Captain Commando. Thanks to Street Fighter 6, funny enough, I was able to play and beat Captain Commando. It's a shame that he isn't represented more nowadays. He is such a cool character. Him and his whole little roster of buddies. He's going back in here. We need him. And I can't believe I'm forgetting them. We need Dante. So Dante is right here somewhere. Boom, how could I forget him? Super popular character. Top tier, always. I can't believe it took me this long to remember him, sadly. Sports Club Girl, who could forget her? There we go, get over here. Strider, another super cool character. I know he's a fan favorite because of the supers, and rightfully so. I mean, he has the robot dogs, he has a little keep away little circles there. That's the word of the video, by the way. The word of today's video, keep away, remember that. Strider, easily on there. Another top tier. Can't believe it took me this long to put him on there. But, if you guys are realizing, we only have 3 spots left. Ooh, this is a tough one. Asura. We're putting Asura in. It's his time. I've seen the mods for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think it's such a badass character. He gets a spot in. But now for the last 2, oh, I gotta be careful about this one. You know, they're remaking it. They're trying to bring it back. I'm gonna go ahead and put Frank West in. Yeah, we already have the zombie representation with Leon and Lady Dimitrescu, but it's another popular Capcom zombie game. It stood the test of time. We need Frank West in here. Boom. Get over here. Cloud9, what the heck? Who are you? There we go. Trying to sneak your way in, whoever you are. Okay, so for our last spot, it took a lot of time to think about this, but I realized that a series that should have been in Smash, but wasn't fully represented, is Monster Hunter. And Monster Hunter is also a huge franchise for Capcom. Like, you can't deny it, right? Even if I'm not the biggest fan of it, it deserves a spot on this roster. In Marvel Infinite, they did something really interesting, where they made their Monster Hunter rep a waifu character, and she had a really unique moveset, more of a goofy character, surprisingly. And if they're gonna bring her back, I would kinda hope that they have more options on what her moveset is. as well as different costumes, making her different characters instead of just different armors. You know, like maybe there could be like a male monster hunter with a Rathalos armor, or a female one that has a different type of monster armor. So I feel like to top it off, we're gonna go ahead and put Monster Hunter in as our last Capcom rep. Alright, so that is our Marvel and our Capcom roster right there, 20 each. So far I'm feeling okay about this. So we have our 8 DLC, obviously dividing that evenly, I'm gonna give myself 4 Capcom and 4 Marvel characters. And it's easier for me to get through the Marvel one, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. You know, I can't deny that Miles Morales is oftentimes more popular than Peter himself nowadays. You know, he has the movies, the games, and while you can make the argument that like, oh, we don't need 2 Spider-Man, Miles can just be his own like main Spider-Man skin, I'm gonna disagree. You know, he has his invisibility, his electrical powers. In the comics, he has a sword now, which, I mean, I don't know if I like that really, but it's different enough that I feel like moveset-wise, he's different enough from Spider-Man that he deserves his own spot. If I have to put another villain in there, I gotta get Loki. Again, stop trying to sneak in. Gwenpool, look, I would put you in, trust me, but no. It wouldn't make too much sense, I'm afraid. Loki, we have our villain, deserves to be in there. Next up, Deadpool. They could do something really funny with this trailer, like him like knowing that he's DLC, finally making it back, maybe even making a joke about like how, you know, he's a gun for hire. Obviously you gotta pay for him if you want him in your game. So already we have 3 out of 4 DLC characters for Marvel. That went by pretty fast. If I had to put one more, oh man, this is a tough one because I really would love Blade to be in this game. And you know, I've seen a lot of people put Blade in their main roster over Ghost Rider, but I gotta be greedy. This is my roster, I'm gonna keep my boy Ghost Rider no matter what. So if he's gonna already fill in the spooky side of Marvel, the supernatural, I feel like we need another character that won't only be broken, because you know, DLC characters tend to be a little bit busted, but is also gonna sell well. Like the 3 characters that I have here so far for DLC for Marvel, they're popular enough that they sell pretty well on their own, you know, in the comics. But even as DLC, people are going to want to buy them. So I feel like if I need a DLC Marvel character, one that I know is going to sell, it has to be Scarlet Witch. Man, see, and I was debating Miss Marvel, or even Captain Marvel. Oh man, I didn't even put Captain Marvel in my main roster. Ooh, that's tough. Oh man, I don't know about that one actually. We'll have to go back to that in the end. But yeah, I think Scarlet Witch, if she was a DLC character, people would definitely buy her. You know, she's popular enough, she fits the Avenger mutant role, so get over here, stop being difficult. She is gonna be my DLC character here. If she would let herself join the roster. There we go. People would simp, man. Look, I have a friend, I'm not gonna name any names here, but my buddy Luis, like he is down bad for this woman, man. Someone has to free my man. So I see the pool that she has online, okay? Now moving on to our DLC for Capcom. You know, I gave myself a villain with Loki. I'm gonna do something fun for my DLC, and I'm gonna give myself Dr. Wily as my first Capcom DLC. And already, the picture that's there from Super Smash Bros. Is how I would depict him in the game, in his little skull capsule. So we have another villain added, another Mega Man rep, which is, you know, rightfully so. I think Mega Man definitely needs more love from Capcom. And just the possibilities with Dr. Wily, like the weapons that he has, because this design right here is very Mega Man 7. And if you've seen my other videos on this channel where I played Mega Man 7, you know how much of a pain in the ass fighting Dr. Wily in that game was, and all like, you know, different tricks that he had up his sleeve. Definitely a lot of potential with him. You know, as much of a baddie as Dr. Wily is, we need another baddie to pull the cash flow for this game, to fund hopefully another Marvel vs. Capcom in the future. You know, again, this is a very me pick, but I'm gonna go with Tiffany Lords. I think, you know, people are gonna freak out over her. I know I would. I know I'd pay top dollar. I love her design. I love everything about her. She's a good rep for her series. I'm a sticker in there. But then, that leaves a question of who we have as our last 2 DLC characters. Ooh, this is a tough one indeed. You know what? If I had to put another Street Fighter character in the game, I'm gonna go with Rashid. I think his moveset is fun, it's unique, it's different, especially for a Street Fighter. And, you know, he was already DLC for 6, I saw a lot of hype for that. So he's going to be DLC for my game as well. He's going to be the DLC man for Capcom from now on. That's what he's delegated to. You know, obviously, if we're going to have a last DLC spot, it has to be a character that, you know, it's going to be broken, like I keep saying. Someone that people are going to really die for. And I think we need Virgil. He, you know, was the king of Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He has his fans. There was the new game a few years ago. We need Mr. Top Tier in the game, and that's going to be Virgil. And there you have it. That is our 20, 20, and our 8 character roster for my Marvel vs. Capcom 4. But I do want to talk about some stuff, because you see that little roster space at the bottom that says cuts there? I had a hard time making this list. I have my phone here, actually, with all my notes on what characters I wanted, why I wanted them to begin with. I feel like if I were to make any changes to this roster, it would definitely be in Ant-Man and the Wasp. I struggled for the longest time with putting Luke Cage and Iron Fist in here. And that's just because I feel like, again, thinking in terms of team-ups and banter, dialogue, what have you, it would have been really cool to finally get like the spotlight, you know, like the heroes for hire. The only problem is that I feel like they would play the same. They're more, you know, brawler type characters. Sure, you can make Luke Cage more of a grappler, but I feel like they themselves don't stand out enough to really make their way into the main roster. So I'm going to add them here to the cuts. Another character that I mentioned earlier is Miss Marvel. And the thing about Miss Marvel is that while she would represent the Inhumans, I feel like we just have to face the facts that the Inhumans aren't popular enough at Marvel to kind of warrant, you know, a place on my roster. And I feel like there's a lot of discussions that you could have about that. You know, it mostly comes down to like Marvel themselves, how they treat them, what they do with them, kind of like how they push them. Like, it doesn't help that we got Black Bolt in Doctor Strange 2, but he was just a gag to die, you know? And even then, a lot of the Inhumans themselves would be kind of hard to implement in the game as well. I mean, Black Bolt wouldn't make sense, obviously. So I would have definitely put Miss Marvel. I would have made her DLC, actually. But I feel like because I really want Mr. Fantastic in there, I just can't have her in the game, sadly. So she's going to join us right here. Now, oh my god, another change. This is a tough one. I don't like Captain Marvel. I'm just like, come out and say it, basically. And there's a lot of factors that go into that. You know, there's the MCU movies and what they do with her, how she's written in the comics. Oh man, but I feel like we need her. Oh man, you get rid of Ant-Man then, or Captain Marvel. Maybe that's the way to go. Oof, man, this is tough. See, I'm having second doubts about my own roster, even though, like, in my mind I already perfected it. Because I like the whole thing about Ant-Man and the Wasp being a duo character. And, you know, like, you could shrink, you could grow, all that. But the more that I talk about them, the more I realize that their niche that I'm giving them in my mind is already filled by different characters. Like with Rocket and Groot, that's your duo character right there. You want to, you know, grow big, you have Hulk. He's like our bruiser, you know? And it's not like Ant-Man will turn into Giant Man can be like too big, you know? That'd just be ridiculous. So, oh man, I'm going to beat myself up for this. I'm going to cut my own roster here. Ant-Man and the Wasp, I think you're best for like a background stage material. And, you know, I understand the importance of the character. I'm going to go with Captain Marvel. So there we go. Oh man, you know, it feels weird doing that because in my mind I'm like, I'm leaving out like one of the essential like base Avengers, right? But God, no, I gotta go with this. It feels right. It feels right. I gotta force myself. That's why I'm saying it out loud. I have to force myself to make it feel right. Blade, again, we already talked about you. It's either you or Ghost Rider, man. And, you know, you might be good DLC, but I like my DLC. My DLC makes sense. These characters are all more popular than you, sadly. Maybe if your movie came out, which I, you know, by this point I don't think it ever will, he would have had a spot, okay? I've seen people talk a lot about Agent Venom as well. Like, if we're gonna do Venom again, make him interesting. I feel like me wanting Deadpool in there already covers for Agent Venom. So we're going to leave Agent Venom there as well. I feel like Namor, if I have to talk about one more Marvel cut, Namor would be so cool. You know, he represents, you know, Atlantis. He kind of fits the whole, like, anti-hero role. He's a mutant as well. But I feel like the main mutants that I have here, Wolverine, Cyclops, Storm, they have to stay in. Nightcrawler, that's more of a me pick. I feel like he's definitely more unique than Namor. And Namor would probably just play like Aquaman in Injustice 2 if I'm being real. So I feel like the ones that are here in the cuts for Marvel are the ones that I wish I could put in the game. But understanding, you know, development time, roster size, fan demand, I think as much as it hurts, these guys should stay down here. Now, if I have to talk about cuts for the Capcom side, you know, a good place to start off is with these guys down here. Where are they at? Oh my god, you think I'd be able to find them right away? Zero. We'll start off with Zero. And we'll talk about X as well, why not? I feel like they've just already had the time to shine. Zero definitely is more interesting because he has the sword. Zero has a sword, man. See, I wanted to put Base because I really like Base, and he's fun. You know, he could cover whatever Mega Man doesn't cover in terms of moveset. He has banter with like Mega Man and Wily. But you know what? The same way that I made a cut for my Marvel roster, I'm gonna go ahead and cut Base from my roster, and I'm gonna put Zero in because I still love Zero regardless. And the reason that I'm doing this is, again, he has the sword. He has the moveset, he has the movement, he has the fan demand as well. I have fingers over here now too. Zero's gonna make it in, and to appease my mind, he could have banter with Mega Man, because you know, in the lore, it's implied that Zero goes after Mega Man. He could even talk about like, oh X, like you look different, stuff like that. And he also has a banter with Dr. Wily, because again, it's implied that Dr. Wily is the one who made Zero, so we're gonna go with that. And I feel okay. I feel okay. I'm convincing myself that that's okay. Felicia, she's bad, but, you know, we already have Morgan. I think Jetta is more interesting, as well as BB Hood. BB Hood is like, you know, a small character. She has the guns. She's more, funny, I guess, you know. She adds a different, like, unique vibe to the roster. So Felicia, she can stay down there. One character that I wanted to do as DLC, because I thought it'd be really interesting, was Ruby Heart, because of her prominent role in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I think she'd be cool for DLC, but I feel like not a lot of people know about her. It's definitely a niche pick. I feel like she's definitely like background stage material. So we'll leave Ruby Heart there. And if we have to talk about one more cut, I'm gonna go with Albert Wesker. I would put him in. He is a villain. He is unique, different from the other Resident Evil characters for sure. But I feel like just going off of popularity alone, like what's recent, what people would actually pay for, what would give the game life in terms of, you know, people talk about it online, the fan art, because, you know, the fan art on X is definitely important. It's what I see all the time about, like, you know, games that come out, anime, what have you. I feel like Lady Dimitrescu is definitely the way to go. And sorry if I'm butchering the name, okay? I'm doing my best here. But there you go. That is my roster for Marvel vs. Capcom 4. Let me know what you guys thought down below. Let me know if you are happy with this. If you hate me, even though I'm, you know, I'm just a wee little channel right now. You know, don't be too hard on me, okay? What characters you would add, or even what is your favorite character from this list that I put? Oh, you know what else would be cool? Tell me what movesets you would want for some of these newcomers. See, there's just so much we can talk about, and that's what I love about like stuff like this, you know? So, like I said, I'm really excited for Marvel vs. Capcom 4. In the future, you know, this got me hyped for it. I'm hyped for the collection coming out. I definitely want to play that for the channel if I could figure it out, you know, with my dinosaur of a computer. But my name is Demis. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for this mini rant, mini podcast. I don't even know what to call it, really. Like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed what you saw today. I hope you guys stick around for more, and I'll catch you on the next one. Adios.